forklift driver. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is another episode of the Dream Build Home series where my husband and I are building our dream home in the UK. We are actually self-building it, so we're doing what we can ourselves, as you can probably tell from the last video. If you haven't seen the previous episode, go check it out. We did everything from leveling the site and moving hundreds of tons of material to dig in our foundations just for them to completely collapse in the terrible weather. But the good news is everything in the ground is now done, and we've already learned so much about how to use heavy machinery which we've never used before. We're so excited we can finally move on with the build. Max and his team turned up on site to make a start on the garage. They erected the steel goalpost for the garage door, which was really exciting since, minus the bricks, this was really the first tallest structure on site. It doesn't really look like much, but after years of red tape there is finally something that's being built. So the goalpost for the garage is finally up. It actually didn't take them that long to do, so this is what it's looking like, and then in a couple of days they are going to come back and build the whole structure in about 2 days, which is so quick and I can't wait. Of course we could have got the concrete pumped, but that costs £500 extra, so we decided to use a dumper truck which we already had on site anyway. So you can see Matt and Liam are now just tamping and finishing off the garage floor. So I am so excited. Today is the first day that something is actually going to be above ground, like for real. The company that's building our house, New for our SIPs, they're coming over and they're starting to build the garage. Yay! I'm honestly so excited. I feel like I've been waiting for this moment for like 2 years. The longest sort of period was like the design process of the house and just making sure that everything's correct, and now that that has all been sort of done and completed under our belt, we can now actually just get on with building it. They say that building the house in total will only take about 6 weeks, which honestly to me that's mental, that you know in a couple of months there's gonna be a full house, like a full shell of our house on site. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. For now it's just the little steps, and they're starting with the garage as that's like the smallest structure to get on with, so I'll keep you guys updated on what happens today. So the team have arrived back on site, and here's the first look at the SIPs panels that they're using to build the garage. Everything is pre-cut in the factory, so it's literally just a case of putting it all together like Legos on site. As I mentioned in previous videos, we are using this method for the entire house as well, although the panels will be a bit thicker and have even better insulation performance. Once the panels started going up, you could hardly look away because each time you blinked you'd miss it with the pace that they were going at. Alright, so it's now day 1 over. Look how much they've built already. I'm honestly so impressed with how quickly this building method is. Let's go have a look inside and see how big it is. Wow. Oh my gosh. It's huge in here. What? So tomorrow they're going to be doing the roof. There's a couple of steel beams that are just going to be sitting on top of these glue lambs on the sides. And then, yeah, we can get on with it after that. We can clad it, we can put a garage door in. It's going to be so exciting. So over here, we actually have a single door as well. We're going to have a motorized garage door on the front, but obviously if that ever was to fail, you want to have another entrance. So we're going to just have a simple single door here. So that's the opening for the garage door. As you can see, it's super wide. It's like 5 meters. It's like a double garage door, so it's gonna be really nice and big. And I think we're gonna go for like a matte black kind of garage door. That's like my dream, because the brick slips on this are gonna be like a dark sort of charcoal gray black kind of color. So I felt like black would really, really stand out. After they built the roof, which was completely flat, Matt and I needed to then put a full on the roof ready for the rubber membrane. It's been raining so much, we had to buy a huge tarp from Amazon and keep the roof covered. good. So we are on the roof of the garage. We're just laying out the floorings, which we've just had to cut in the garage downstairs. We ripped down lengths of 6x2 and managed to use both halves to create a full, so there was minimal wastage. We're basically creating a slope from front to back so that the water can drain out into these drain outlets. There's also such a good view from up here. You can see all the house foundations. It's just super windy. After that, we drilled holes for ventilation and started boarding the whole roof with sheets of plywood. Once that was completed, we needed to wait for our roofing material, and of course there was more rain. When the roofing material finally came, we needed to dry out the damp roof with a heat gun before we could actually paint the primer on the surface. This was a very long and tedious task. After that, we got an extra pair of hands to help us as we didn't have much time before the weather turned bad again. For the roofing system, we used ResiTrex, which is a single ply membrane and requires the joints to be welded with heat. This is another new skill we learned on the job, so if you need us to provide a quote for your flat roof, send us an email. When it came to doing the welds, you ideally needed it to be dry and not have any moisture trapped inside, so we actually had to use an umbrella, dry the area with the heat gun, and then weld it straight away before moving on to the next segment. This was a painstaking task and it literally took us 2 days to do the whole roof. And this is the finished roof. It's looking so good. The water is actually draining over here perfectly through this little channel that we've got going on. How awesome is that? I'm so glad that we are finally watertight. Later that week, we had our first concrete blocks delivered for the house. Today is a lovely day. It doesn't look that warm, but it's actually very warm and sunny for once. The weather in the UK has just been so bad, and it's actually really, really difficult to build a house in those kinds of conditions. Last week, we had just completed doing the garage roof, which honestly was the hardest thing of my life. We had to cover it up with this massive tarp, and there was like 60-mile-an-hour winds. It was just such a horrendous experience, but it's all waterproof now, so I'm good with that, and we're just gonna have to clad it at some point. I'll keep you guys updated. The thing we're actually doing today is we are starting the bricklaying for the base of the house. Let me show you what our builder friend Liam has done so far. So these are all the breeze blocks we are using, laid out across the entire site. It is a bit of a mess, but part of the house is already starting to be built, which is so exciting because you can kind of finally see like the footprint of the house. It doesn't seem like much yet, but honestly, this is the moment I've been waiting for like over 2 years. So it's a big step for me. So you can kind of imagine the size, and honestly, I think it's gonna be really, really cool. Where I'm currently stood in this little patch, which is like a triangle, is actually the sort of like walkway with the staircase. The staircase will be going from about there to here, and then there's going to be a little like corridor going in there, and then that whole entire space is the sort of like, we call this the long wing because it's very, very long but thin. The walls are going to be from about here to there, and this is the open plan kitchen and lounge area with also a dining room, so plenty of space for everything. And Matt's going around with the level, making sure all the levels are correct. For the top row of the blocks, we used a blue insulated Marmox block, which bridges the insulation between the foundations and the walls, so there is no cold spots. So yeah, the foundations definitely were a very, very challenging part. There was a lot that went wrong. I don't know if I really covered that. There was a lot of things that really were quite challenging with the foundations for us. A lot went wrong, a lot went right. It was a bit of a whirlwind of emotions, but it's all done now and it's in the past, and yeah, it's looking good. In the coming days, we were just pressing on with laying blocks, and I even had a go at it myself.
I'll put that on for you.
Okay.
You would do that at the beginner. Right.
Well, don't underestimate me, Liam. Like this. Perfect. Is that okay like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so brick.
Pick it up with that thing, the block lifting device.
Yeah. Oh. This is quite handy, this. Yeah, it's gonna go tight. Yeah.
So it won't come off.
Yeah.
Lower it all in with the one below. You want it overhanging. You with me?
Okay, line up.
Right, lower it down.
Yeah? Nice. How do I get this off? Okay. think it's sliding off this side a bit. It is my first brick, to be fair. So that was my first time laying bricks. Well, blocks. What do you think, Matt?
You did alright.
I did alright, didn't I?
Yeah, I think you should lay a few more though, but...
Yeah. Maybe I'll build the whole house, who knows? That's my work right there. I'm going to forever remember that I put these 2 blocks on at the end. There once was a shed. As always, me and Matt were responsible for the height of the Marmog's blocks being absolutely perfect, which the whole house will sit on. For this, we kept to a 5mm tolerance across the entire span of the house. So to put it into perspective, one end of the house isn't even the thickness of your phone higher than the other. Over the last few days, Matt really picked up block laying and is super keen to build some more walls that we'll definitely need around the garden in the future.
The next day.
So it's the next day and we've actually realized that one of the brick walls is in the wrong position, so it's not a perfect square, and we think this end must have been done on the wrong side of the pin, which is very annoying.
I've spray painted there with yellow. There's a pin in that corner. Now there should only be one pin here, and it's for the outside wall. This is the outside wall. That's the only place there should be a pin. And if that is the only pin and it's in the wrong place, I'm going to knock out this block, seeing as the wall's in the wrong place anyway. Let's see if there's another pin. There shouldn't be.
Okay. Is there another pin? Is that a pin? That's a pin.
Where?
That.
Yeah, another pin. That's the pin.
So now that we have knocked out that brick, we can see there's actually 2 pins as reference points. Yeah, and that means it's just a miscommunication between everybody.
Well, the problem is that this pin is for this outside corner.
Yeah.
You should only have one pin for an outside corner, so that pin's in the correct place.
Yeah, but that one shouldn't have been there.
Is there's a pin there for an inside corner, because it was assumed that that wall would join up with this one, which it doesn't. So there really should only be one pin here.
But annoyingly, that means that this whole wall has to be completely knocked out, and that's like half a day's work. One step forwards, 2 steps back.
Many unbearable hours later.
So Matt has just spent all morning knocking out all these blocks that were wrong. We're just cleaning up now, and then this wall can be rebuilt again. So annoying. What's up, guys? So I'm currently on the garage roof, and this is a great vantage point to see what is going on down below. We are pressing on with the brickwork, and honestly, it is so cool to finally see like the outline of the house. I just keep thinking like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be my house. This is what we have so far. It's looking so cool. I can finally picture how the layout of the house is gonna be. I think it's definitely one thing seeing it on like a 2D image and a floor plan, and then physically seeing it in person and being able to walk around in it. So over here is the front door. I actually find myself starting at the front door and then pretending I'm walking through the hallway. Also, I don't think I've ever mentioned, but we actually planted this row of hedging across the side of our boundary just to give us some privacy from our neighbors, and I love the way this looks. It's going to give our garden such a nice like backdrop of greenery. The blockwork on the main wing then began. We actually had to leave out openings for the steel columns to slot in between though. Even though our house is made of predominantly SIPS panels, it actually needed quite a bit of steel to support the long wing of the house as it is open plan. After the block work was completed, we began prepping the area for concrete slabs. We added 50mm of sand, which we got from digging out the foundations earlier on. We spread the sand internally within the bricks before the concrete slab was poured to protect the damp-proof membrane from sharper stones underneath. I've actually kicked Matt off the digger and onto the dumper, as I actually really enjoy driving the digger now, even though I was a little bit scared of it at first. Annoyingly, because we had to get through some really tight internal walls inside the house, we actually had to hire a super tiny dumper truck, so this took a lot longer than we thought it would.
3 days later.
So, a quick update. Annoyingly, everything that we have just put into the base of the house is now having to be taken out because basically we put too much of a layer of sand, and you're actually supposed to put more hardcore underneath, which, to be honest, I guess we all missed, and that's just what happens. Sometimes you live and you learn, and this is like the second time we've made a little bit of a mistake, but you know, it's not too much work to correct it. It's just annoying more than anything. So Matt is out there scraping it all out, literally undoing 2 days work, and we're gonna have to redo it all again. The foundations internally are literally looking like a swimming pool. We have no idea what to do to get this water out, and we're literally just scraping away all the sand we spent like 2 days putting in. It is so annoying, so demotivating, and it's just horrible conditions to be working in all honesty. The second you put your foot in the sand, it just sinks. It's so horrible. All right, so quick update. We have finally leveled the hallway area. It is completely level and ready for the sand to go on top. Now we're working on this wing here, so we've done the one room, which is going to be the filming room, and then we've got all the piles ready to spread out over in that corner. That's the cinema room. It's just a lot of tedious work, but we're getting there. In case you guys are wondering how we are getting all these levels spot on, we're actually using this level sort of measure. It works on a laser basis. We have the actual level set up right there. Can you guys see it? And that is to the perfect height that this concrete is supposed to be. Also, this is a little bit time sensitive because the building inspector is coming tomorrow to see all of this finished, and we're supposedly pouring the concrete base tomorrow, and we're like nowhere near ready. So we've only got like a couple of hours in the day, and hopefully we can just get as much done as we can. Oh my god. He's by the bricks. He's walking inside the house. Our first visitor. Hey buddy. Alright guys, it's finally the day to pour the concrete base. We have been working tirelessly to get the ground prepped. It was so much work, but I'm so happy it's finally done. All there's left to do is just to whacker plate the ground so it's nice and smooth, and then we can put sand over the top, just a thin layer, then the damp-proof membrane, and we are good to go. Look how nice and smooth the ground looks, but Matt keeps putting these freaking digger tire marks in my freshly prepped ground. We're doing this base now, and this one's the hardest because it actually has no access. Like, you can't get to some of the spaces with the digger. This is the little machine that I've been using. Unfortunately, we can't reach all of the sand that's in here, so we're literally gonna have to dig it out by hand. We then quickly spreaded the 50 mil of sand on top of the hardcore. We got it nice and flat and then laid out the membrane just in time for the building inspector to come out and sign everything off. All right, so the concrete lorry has finally arrived. We are all ready, prepped and ready to go. This took literally the better part of the day, but the membrane is on and we're ready for the concrete. It's so crazy. I'm finally gonna have a floor of our house. This is just insane. All right guys, so the concrete has been poured and leveled. Are you happy?
Yeah. Clean out.
Honestly, I'm so pleased that that's done. It was actually quite a lot of hard work, but we managed to get not one, not two, but 3 rooms done. And this is all the concrete we're doing for now, as we can't pour the slab in the main wing due to the steel columns not being in place yet. I'm really glad we did as much of the concrete internally as we could before the house was put up, because concrete internally can be a bit tricky to do. However, for the long wing, we have no other choice, so we're gonna have to do it that way. In the next episode, our prefabricated house finally starts arriving on site so that the team can begin erecting the structure. Let me know if you guys are enjoying these videos. Do you want them to be more detailed, less detailed? I'm looking forward to reading all of your comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!